Hi guys, back to the ms180 here again. So since the last video of the scoring of the cylinder and piston, what has been done since is the flywheel is off, the clutch is off, and the saw has been cleaned up a lot to be able to show where the engine mounting bolts are themselves. Now I did actually run into difficulty taking the clutch off this one. I'm going to go through the procedure of taking it off and tell you where it went kind of wrong on this one. So as you can see, the spark plug is out. Bit of length of a pull cord, any nylon cord really, down and through the spark plug hole while the piston's down at the bottom. Feed in enough of this, and on the way back up, when you turn the clutch over, which you can see here, the raised side of the nut, on the back side here it is completely flush. So this is the side you would see. It's a size 19 as well, same as the spark plug and the bar nuts on this saw. Now I locked it up. You turn the clutch clockwise to break it free because they are reverse threads. The ratchet, just no, it didn't work this time. It just wasn't getting enough. It wasn't getting locked up enough. I pushed in more cord. It was still stuck. It just wouldn't release. So I did actually bring out just my small impact gun now here. It is the Milwaukee M12. Now that with the size 19 socket on it, in forward motion, clockwise motion, just a couple of seconds, 2 seconds, and off. It came off straight away. But just the ordinary ratchet, it wouldn't work. So that was that point over with. Now I suppose I could talk about the teardown of the sprocket itself beforehand. So what you will see when the chain and bar cover is off is the sprocket, which is held in place with that style clip, a C-clip, and right behind that is the washer. You can see the washer is stamped. Yeah, you can just see it there. So it is faced that way onto the shaft here. So you can just pop that out with an ordinary flathead screwdriver. Just keep in mind it might fly, so put your hand at the other side of it just to stop it bouncing too far. This just lifts up out of place. Behind that you'll have the needle roller bearing that just lifts up off the shaft, and then that exposes the clutch. Then that's it. The clutch was awkward on this one. It usually not that tricky, but this time yes it was. Behind that then, that washer's right behind the clutch. Further behind that again you have your worm gear for your oiler. So that's them parts taken out of the way. We're going to go to the flywheel side. So the flywheel is simply held on with an M13 nut. The nut will come off easy. Same thing, lock up the engine, bit of pull cord down, very same way for clutch. This didn't take that much force to take it off. Half-inch ratchet with a 13 socket. The half-inch ratchet probably has enough leverage in it. That broke it free. And after that, if I can get that there, you see the shaft is actually tapered, and you can see there is a notch in it for a keyway, because of course the flywheel is timed. So you don't really see anything on this side of the flywheel, but it's on the back side. Hopefully you can see that there, that notch. So it's that particular notch that will sit down, and they do hold themselves in place quite tight without the nut. So that's when just a short lever bar, preferably in under the magnet side of the flywheel, and preferably under the most solid point of the engine you can get access to. So for me here, not ideal, but the most solid point was actually off the air vanes here. Now with this in place and you the nut off, you put the nut back on about 2 or 3 threads down, but when you go to hit it with the hammer with the lever bar, it's very easy to hit any other part of the flywheel, which is a no-no. So what I actually did is just put the socket up on top of the nut, which gave me loads of clearance away from the flywheel, as you see. And one good hit of that, it all popped up out of place, and I wasn't at risk of actually damaging the flywheel this way. Obviously unless you can manage not to hit the socket at all and smack the flywheel. So that's that bit out of the way for a teardown. Now, what I didn't show in the previous video, because there was just too much dirt on the saw, was actually the engine mounting bolts themselves. So you have this one here, which is accessed from right under here on the saw. There's another one just up inside there. You can just about get on the camera. There was one down in there, and there's one in through here. Now I have loosened all of these already. This one did come out fully, so that's why it's not in place at the moment. It was in the saw, guys, but I have that removed. Before I go taking off any more, is there any more to go through right now? It would be the choke lever. So that is the little choke rod, which is the best way to. The long side goes down and through here. There is, yeah, you can see it there. There is the hole for that to go through, and the link locks in behind the choke tab on the carburetor. So I was just able to line this up as straight as I could to get it out of the notch, pull on it with the pliers, and the whole piece comes out. Just going to put that over for later. Throttle lever next. Hold the throttle wide open, which will push the tab. Hold the tab down, they're spring loaded, hold the tab down with your finger, and the rod will disconnect. But the rod locks off from against here, so it won't fully release. So from this point, the attachment here, if I can get it here, clips in place here. So pop this side out first from here, and then over on this side, the rest of the rod pushes in through it. So you push from the opposite side, that gets this whole piece loose. So now the throttle lever isn't connected to the carb, the choke lever isn't connected to the carb. The only thing holding this carb in place at the moment is its 2 mounting bolts and the fuel line. before that part of the throttle levers and choke levers to take off the air filter housing, there's two M8 nuts holding that on. There's also two M8 nuts holding on the exhaust. So these saws, for repairing them at home, even for a detailed job like this, basic tools, we are looking at a size 19 socket for the chainsaw bar and the spark plug. The ones that come with the saws, this little scrunch, would obviously be good enough for the spark plug. That's what they're mainly for. For the bar nuts, no problem. I wouldn't have trusted the quality of this to take off the clutch. It is a size 19, but I think this metal wouldn't have held up for that side. But if you have one and if your clutch isn't as tight as it was in this particular saw, give it a go. If not, an ordinary 19 socket. And look, if the ratchet doesn't work, yes, impact. Just make sure you're going clockwise, because if you go anti-clockwise, you're tightening the clutch. That's that side of it. And we had the size 13 for the flywheel nut. The rest of the screws are, I'm just thinking, yeah, the rest of the screws so are all Torx T27. The only tools I'm after leaving out then would be the pry bar and the hammer. Some people might want to put a pullers on the flywheel to remove them. That's fine. If you have it, use it. I do, but I've always used the same method of pry bar and hammer. It hasn't failed yet. Sometimes the pullers, the jaws, you won't be able to get them in around the flywheel. Even if you're using a 2-jaw puller, you won't have the access point for it. But you will always get some point of leverage on one side at least. So favourable to pry bar. So guys, I think that's enough talking about it for now. We're just going to go and try taking the whole engine assembly off. As I said, the 3 mounting bolts are loose and one is removed. From that point we should be able to move the whole engine forward away from the air intake tube of the carburetor. I imagine we're going to have to use the lever bar or a flathead screwdriver just to help it off the air breather. Let's see how that goes. So I did save y'all from seeing the slightly knuckle busting part of when the tension of these breaks free first. They are in pretty tight. If I can get a few better turns now of the final one. Hopefully that one is out all the way. No. Okay, the back one fell out, the front one fell out, so all the engine mounting bolts are out now. And there goes the other one. Just take this off. At this point, just be careful, don't force it too much, because we are working with a rubber intake boot here at the carburetor, so it's time to take a closer look, see what is our best option of removing this. Okay. So I think if I pull the cylinder pot towards me and hopefully push the rubber boot back, I'm going to see how that goes. Okay, still isn't quite tight. There it is. I just chose to leave the ignition coil on for now. And while I have it faced this way, guys, I just want to show that 2 notches here either side for the exhaust port. I didn't actually go through it on the previous video, but your exhaust mounting bolts are square headed. See if you can get it on that. So while it is in place, they just spread. So you'll slot them down and place behind it like that, and then pull them. They'll hold themselves in tight and straight. Then slip the exhaust on over. So to remove them, once you've 2 nuts taken off and you slide the exhaust out of place, just with 2 bolts like that, pop them inwards towards each other, and they will come away from it. So the parts we're changing is going to be the pot, the sump of the engine, the piston rings, gudgeon pin, and the 2 clips holding that in. While we have it down this far, you can see this particular drive here. That is your oil pump drive. So we're going to go back to the worm gear here. As you can see, it's threaded. that is going to be coming into the back of it like this. As the clutch is turning, it's going to drive that gear, and that particular arm here catches onto the flywheel. Sorry, it catches onto the clutch to drive the pump. Now, this is where the real fun part comes. Obviously I haven't broken the tension of these bolts loose, you've just seen me take the engine out, so these are going to be possibly knuckle busting, but we'll get to see the proper damage to the piston once we have the pot taken off it. Okay, first one not too bad. Second one not too bad either. And there is a gasket sealer on these engines as opposed to an actual gasket itself as in material, so that's probably going to make this a little bit awkward as well to pop it off, but we're going to see how it goes. Every time I broke the bolt free so far, I've dropped the torque wrench, the torque key right afterwards. So let's see if we manage to hold on to it on the fourth one, or will I drop it then again. Nearly. Okay. Right. So that's all four of them out. There is only four keeping it in place. I am just checking if there is any small lever point that would allow us to like get a flathead screwdriver or something just to start the lifting. Okay, it wasn't really needed, just my thumb here on the side, it just popped off, so okay. Right. Ooh. There guys. That's some big pieces there. Okay. Whoa. Maybe there is more damage inside this. Let's find out. See these big pieces here. Okay. Maybe I'm facing a bigger repair here. Right, what are we going to find? Wow. I might be wrong, guys, but I don't think that conrod is supposed to be. I don't think it's supposed to be bent. I might be wrong. Okay. No, that's okay. I just found here. Here's where some of that broken materials have to come from. So we have some here. We have some here. And we have some here. Okay. Now the full two piston rings are still fully intact. Okay. So that's all I can see for at the moment, guys.